Today, a judge says a Texas hospital can require its staff to get vaccinated. Over 100 workers didn't want to choose between their jobs and getting vaccinated. We'll look at the debate happening across the country. And do you think working remotely is more efficient or less efficient? Well, a new study has some interesting conclusions. We talked to some people working from home. And Bitcoin hits a 2-week high today after Elon Musk says Tesla may accept it as payment again in the future. That and much more coming up on NTD Business. Good evening. Great to have you with us. I'm Paul Graney, reporting live from New York City. American vaccine maker Novavax says its vaccine is over 90% effective against the CCP virus and its variants. That's what the results of its phase 3 trial show. The results also show 100% protection against moderate to severe illness. Novavax says the vaccine is being developed primarily for middle to low-income countries. According to one data firm, not even 1% of people in the developing world have had one shot. LA Times reports Novavax has been developing vaccines for over 30 years, but has never brought one to market. And earlier this month, we spoke with a nurse suing her hospital for forcing staff to get vaccinated. A judge sided with the hospital over the weekend and dismissed the case. But the challenge of managing different viewpoints remains for businesses and workers across the country. NTD's Colin Fredrickson takes a look.
A Texas judge dismisses a lawsuit filed by over 100 hospital employees, which tried to stop Houston Methodist Hospital from forcing them to get vaccinated. Judge Lynn Hughes, in a 5-page ruling, said Texas law only protects employees from being terminated for refusing to commit an act carrying criminal penalties. An employment attorney generally agrees with the decision.
Employees, as the judge said in this decision, are going to be employees at will. They can be fired for any reason or no reason at all.
Lead plaintiff Jennifer Bridges, a nurse who has since been suspended, told CNN she will appeal. She's raised over $140,000 on GoFundMe, which she will use to continue legal action.
No, we pretty much expected at this level that it would be dismissed and the judge would rule against us. But it's really only the beginning. We are going to be appealing this and taking this up. And ultimately, I very well feel this case is going to go up to the Supreme Court.
Jared Woodfill, lawyer for the plaintiffs, said it is shocking that many of his clients were on the front line treating COVID-positive patients at Texas Methodist Hospital, and to thank them, the hospital awards them a pink slip and sentences them to bankruptcy. One healthcare lawyer says he thinks we're going to see strict vaccine policies in hospitals and schools, but not so much in the broader workforce. We may not know for years what the vaccine policies will be.
I'm talking to a lot of employers out there who are really trying to figure out how to hold the workforce together with a lot of really different views. I think we're going to see the numbers of people who refuse to get vaccinated are likely to come down, but you're going to see a hardcore anti-vax community stay out there.
Employers have to deal with people who don't want to get vaccinated and people who don't want to be around those who are unvaccinated, all while trying not to lose talent. Colin Fredrickson, NTD News.
And a California mayor is accused of committing unemployment fraud. She allegedly applied for unemployment benefits when she was still a city councilwoman in March 2020. Olivia Trujillo is now the mayor of Arvin in Southern California. A letter from the city manager says an unemployment claim was made in her name, even though there were no breaks in her employment and she received all the pay that she was entitled to. The mayor denies the fraud claims. She says she received pandemic assistance funds like other city residents, but doesn't see any issue with it. She says she will continue in her role as mayor. We reached out to the mayor's office, but didn't get a response yet. And another big debate right now is which is more productive, working from home or working from the office. Well, a new study says that even if you work more hours at home, you'll actually get less work done. NTD's Phil Zoe has the details.
If you're working from home, you might be spending more time doing less work and being less productive. That's according to a new study from the University of Chicago. It says hours working from home increased by 30%, but the amount of work done remained the same. That means productivity fell by 20%.
You find yourself wanting to work more hours because you think you're going to be getting more done, realize that the quality of your work is going to go down, you're not going to be as productive.
The remote work manager says there could be many distractions at home.
People were having their little children in the background, so of course they had much more distraction.
A family,
kids, a house to take care of, other responsibilities, it's easier to get distracted.
Become obsessed with like a recipe and try to cook lunch for like 4 hours and like nothing gets done.
But some people prefer to work from home.
Faxing, copying, those are kind of like eliminated when you're home. You don't have to deal with so many people at the same time.
You're able to be on your own schedule and without people distracting you and office politics.
But Dr. Carol Lieberman told NTD News being stuck at home could bring many problems.
You're very close to the refrigerator, you're close to the alcohol cabinet, you're close to the television, you're close to a lot of distractions and a lot of things that can be harmful.
She says humans need to socialize in person in order to grow mentally and intellectually.
We need that human interaction to feel appreciated, to stay on top of our toes.
Remote worker Amir agrees.
Having a routine and being able to, go from point A to point B allows your mind to continue evolving, and coming into contact with people every day is also a great way to help your mind grow.
Many are looking forward to returning to the office.
Like camaraderie, colleagues.
I appreciate the commute, being around people, the socialization of the workplace.
It's like exercising. You're in a class and somebody's saying, let's go, or you're sitting there by yourself with the TV going, ha, 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 ha.
Oh, pardon me, I was a little distracted. Almost forgot I was at work. Perhaps it's a good thing people are starting to return to the office. Phil Zoe, NTD News, New York.
And stocks were mixed today. S&P 500 and the Nasdaq both closing record highs though. The Dow fell 86 points, 0.25%. S&P 500 gained 8 points, less than 0.2%. The Nasdaq today added 105 points, 0.75%. And Bitcoin seemed to get another boost from Elon Musk this weekend, breaking $40,000 and hitting a 2-week high today. Musk was tweeting about the cryptocurrency's future and fending off criticism over his market influence. He says Tesla may resume allowing customers to pay with Bitcoin, but only when it's confirmed that Bitcoin miners are using 50% clean energy. Many have blamed Musk's tweets for influencing Bitcoin's price both positively and negatively for months. Tesla first said it would accept virtual money as payment, but then Musk backtracked, citing environmental concerns. That likely prompted a massive drawdown in Bitcoin's price, but it did rally more than 9% after Musk's tweet on Sunday. And the iconic picture of a Shiba Inu, aka Doge, was just sold as a non-fungible token, NFT, for $4 million. So far, it's the most expensive meme NFT ever. NFTs are a type of digital asset that exists on a blockchain. The meme was sold in an auction Friday. We don't know who the buyer is yet, only the handle @PleaserDAO. The bidder paid for the meme with another cryptocurrency called Ether, nearly 1,700 of them. The money will go to a Japanese kindergarten teacher who actually owns the actual dog in the meme. A seat on a spaceship ride with billionaire Jeff Bezos sold for $28 million over the weekend. It was a month-long bidding process for the sightseeing trip ahead of Blue Origin's maiden voyage next month. Jason Albano reports.
I have 7 million right here. Look at 7-1. Now,
just how much would you pay for a space ride with the world's richest man?
7,000,003. Now is the time.
7 minutes into a live auction on Saturday, one bidder won that privilege for $28 million.
And that is sold $28 million to number 107.
That concluded a month-long bidding process for a sightseeing trip on rocket company Blue Origin's maiden voyage, along with founder Jeff Bezos. The identity of the winner was not immediately disclosed.
It's about 10 times higher in altitude than your normal commercial jet flights.
The sale illustrates a potential market for private commercial space travel. In the month leading up to Saturday's live auction, Blue Origin said more than 6,000 people from at least 140 countries submitted bids. Investment banking company UBS estimates a $3 billion annual space tourism market by 2030. That's with optimism that space travel will become mainstream as technology is proven and costs fall. The prospect is fueling a race among tech giants to be the first to travel beyond Earth's atmosphere. Bezos is competing against the likes of fellow billionaires Elon Musk's SpaceX and Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, though one source familiar with the matter says Branson just might steal Bezos' thunder. That source says Branson could possibly be on a test flight to the edge of space over the July 4th weekend. Bezos and Saturday's winner are not expected to take off from West Texas until July 20.
And hackers have stolen 26 million login credentials from websites like Amazon, Facebook, Google, and Twitter. That's according to cybersecurity firm NordLocker. It says the Trojan-type malware infiltrated more than 3 million Windows computers over a 2-year period. The hackers made off with emails or users' name and passwords, and most of the stolen login credentials were for Google, Facebook, and Amazon. So, how did the hackers get the information? NordLocker says the malware was transmitted by email and pirated software, including illegal versions of Adobe Photoshop and cracked games. And Washington is monitoring a reported leak at a Chinese nuclear power plant. The Biden administration reportedly doesn't believe the situation is at crisis level as yet. The plant is a joint venture between a French company and a Chinese company. The French side says it was informed of a gas buildup at the nuclear power station in Guangdong in southern China. CNN, quoting unnamed U.S. officials, says the situation doesn't pose a severe safety threat to plant workers or the public. The U.S. government has spent the past week monitoring the situation. But the French unit that designed the plant's reactor had warned of an imminent radiological threat. It also accused China's safety authority of raising the acceptable limits for radiation detection to avoid having to shut the plant down. And G7 leaders are planning a democratic alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative. They're also calling for a transparent investigation into the origins of COVID-19. They want access to China's labs. Here's more.
Leaders of the world's 7 richest democracies on Sunday agreed to counter Beijing's growing influence in developing countries. China's Belt and Road Initiative has left many poor nations with heavy debt, and now those advanced economies are pledging to provide a democratic alternative. To this point, Biden claimed, against abundant evidence to the contrary, that China by itself is not a main contender to the U.S.
I think we're in a contest, not with China per se, but a contest with autocratic governments around the world, as whether or not democracies can compete with them in the rapidly changing 21st century.
This democratic alternative addresses the infrastructure gap in those poor countries, which the pandemic has only made worse. The new initiative is called Build Back Better World, or B3W. It will help finance bridges, ports, roads, and other infrastructure in developing countries. Also on Sunday, the G7 leaders called out the Chinese regime for its human rights abuses. Those include the arbitrary detention of over 1 million Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang, and the regime's failure to live up to its promise to preserve the autonomy of Hong Kong. The world has pushed back against Beijing's aggression, and more so recently.
And an American father and son pleaded guilty in Tokyo today to charges they illegally helped Nissan's former chairman flee Japan. They apparently helped him hide in a box aboard a private jet in December 2019. Jason Albano reports.
An American father and son pleaded guilty in Tokyo on Monday to charges that they illegally helped former Nissan chief Carlos Ghosn flee Japan more than a year ago. U.S. Army Special Forces veteran Michael Taylor and his son Peter could now face up to 3 years in prison. Buses believed to be carrying the two were seen arriving in court on Monday. Prosecutors accused them of helping Ghosn escape Japan in a box aboard a private jet to Lebanon in December 2019. The pair allegedly received $1.3 million for their services. In March, they were extradited to Japan from the United States. That's after a months-long battle to prevent that by their American lawyers. Those lawyers argued that the two could face relentless interrogations and torture. Suspects in Japan are interrogated without their lawyers present and are often denied bail before trial. Japan's conviction rate is 99%. Taylor and his son are now being held at the same jail in Tokyo, where Ghosn was previously detained.
But obviously,
at the time of Ghosn's escape, he was awaiting trial on charges that he understated his compensation in Nissan's financial statements by $85 million over the course of a decade. He was also accused of enriching himself at his employer's expense through payments to car dealerships. Ghosn has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. He remains a fugitive in his childhood home in Lebanon, which has no extradition treaty with Japan.
And Cuba will soon stop accepting cash deposits in U.S. dollars. The country's central bank says U.S. sanctions make it hard to use the currency abroad. NTD's Patrick Hayden looks at the impact of the measures.
Cubans are forming long lines outside banks after the government said it will soon no longer accept dollar cash deposits.
In the next 7 days, the state is going to collect more dollars than in the previous month. What will happen next? There are many unknowns.
Cuba's central bank said Thursday that U.S. sanctions made it difficult for Cuba to use dollars abroad. The bank's president said this is especially true for its financial sector.
Because that money cannot be used for transactions, that is to say, it has lost its use value.
Some analysts say the government could be trying to control the black market price of the dollar. It's more than double the official rate against the Cuban peso. Trump-era restrictions and a drop in tourism during the pandemic means US dollars are even more scarce, but Cubans depend on dollars to buy basic items.
Because I am a pensioner and I eat in a social assistance canteen, and what I have left with my pension is 20 pesos to take the bus. So the only solvency is dollars. And now with this measure, I cannot buy anything.
Cuba had a 10% tax on dollars for many years because of the US embargo. That's now lifted, which has resulted in more shops selling in hard cash dollars. Cubans have until next Monday to deposit their dollars. The central bank didn't say how long the suspension will last. Patrick Hayden, NTD News.
And Vodafone has chosen Samsung to supply its 5G network equipment in Britain. It's a major boost for the South Korean company in Europe and a defeat for China's Huawei. Executives from 5G providers in Spain and France have also held talks with Samsung. Britain is preparing to remove all Huawei equipment already installed in its 5G network because of national security risks. Samsung says it's banking on Europe to maintain growth in the space. It's currently dominated by Nokia, Ericsson, and Huawei, but Samsung hopes to build off its US success after a recent Verizon deal. And Britain's Prime Minister has delayed reopening by a month, citing concerns of a more infectious variant. Reopening is now pushed back to July 19th. NTD's Neil Woodrow has the details.
Prime Minister Johnson announces the latest on the roadmap easing of restrictions, with the final lifting previously earmarked for just 1 week away on June 21st. Earlier reports indicated that limits on numbers for sports events, pubs and cinemas were likely to remain in place, with nightclubs staying closed and people encouraged to keep up social distancing and working from home. The expected move was met with fury by some Tory MPs, with a vote this month expected to lead to a Conservative backbench rebellion. But the Health Minister favours a delay, telling Sky News with a delay of 1 month, another 10 million second vaccine doses could be given across the UK. Some scientists also defended the proposal, saying the rapid spread of the Indian variant risks a substantial third wave of infection. But any delay causes a huge setback to many businesses, particularly in the hospitality sector, who hope for a full summer's business to recoup some of the losses of the past year. Londoners told us they have mixed feelings about the delay. The last year has been bad for this gentleman's business. He says his employees rely on him, and today's news adds to his problems.
It's not depend on me, it's depend about government, just jobs, job centers. Universal credit is nothing for us because we're building something. Now we lose everything, so it's bad for us. It's a very, very difficult time, but we cannot do nothing. We just have to wait until the government decides to do better.
This gentleman says the government is in a difficult position.
If they do something, they're blamed. If they don't do something, they're blamed. And I think it's a far safer option for all of us to prolong it for a while. I know the economy's going to be hit, but it's the best thing. So
on Sunday, nearly 7,500 new virus cases were reported, over 2,000 more than the previous Sunday. Neil Woodrow, NTD News.
And voters in Switzerland have rejected a key climate change measure in a nationwide referendum. This is a defeat for the Swiss government, which supported the new law. The proposed law was to help the country meet its goal to cut carbon emissions under the Paris Agreement. It would have increased surcharges on car fuel and flight tickets. But opponents said it wouldn't help the environment since Switzerland is only responsible for 1.1% of global carbon emissions. Instead, they said it would only increase business costs. The Environment Minister says, though, it'll now be very difficult to reach its carbon emissions goals. And still to come this evening. Be prepared to pay a lot more if you're getting a new car. Prices reached a record high last month with strong demand and limited supplies. And a French baker living in Germany makes soccer-inspired treats to celebrate Europe's championship tournament. Stay tuned to see his creations and more after this short break.
Every once in a while, something comes along, so masterful, it leaves you in awe. So inspiring, it changes your life. So beautiful, you wish it would never end. When that happens, it's something not to be missed. Shen Yun, coming to the Palace Theater, June 26th and 27th. Tickets at shenyun.com/Stamford.
Why are millions of Americans moving their money into gold and silver? It's simple. The world has never been more unpredictable. The biggest economic crisis we've faced since 2008, and a government that's about to print trillions and trillions of dollars. That's why so many Americans are turning to gold and silver to protect their nest egg. American Hartford Gold is a trusted name to help families to safeguard their wealth. With an A+ rating from the BBB and 5-star ratings on the biggest review websites like Trustpilot and Google, American Hartford Gold can help you convert any qualifying IRA or 401k into precious metals. Or they'll help you to easily purchase physical gold and silver and deliver straight to your doorstep. Learn how you can protect your wealth with gold and silver today. Get this free 2021 information guide. Call 866-893-1493 or text TV to 65532.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
Prices for new and used cars are soaring, and it doesn't look like they're going to stop anytime soon. Car dealers have only a fraction of the vehicles, both new and used, that they would usually have. That's helping send prices to record levels and lifting the nation's overall inflation rate. According to J.D. Power, the average new car price hit a record in May at more than $38,000. That's up 12% from the same period a year ago when many car dealerships were closed by the pandemic. But now sales are booming. But the demand is coming at a time when auto plants are closed or running at reduced production because of a computer chip shortage. Strong sales and limited supply are likely feeding the price boom. And a driverless electric shuttle is the newest way to get around Yellowstone National Park. The shuttle is called TEDdy, which stands for the Electric Driverless Demonstration in Yellowstone. The new service started Wednesday, offering short rides from a lodge area to nearby shops and restaurants. TEDdy can seat 8 people. It'll be free for about 6 weeks, which will help the National Park Service see how the technology can be used in parks. And a French baker in Germany is celebrating the start of this year's European Soccer Championships. He's making baked goods that represent the tournament matches. NTD's Colin Fredrickson has more.
Frenchman Ludovic Gerbois has been baking in Germany for over 15 years. And even though he's injecting a little sweetness into the tournament for fans from all countries, he's aiming his culinary focus at France and Germany. And his baked goods reflect that.
I like to bake and look at everything a little. Part is French, part is German. I take what I get. It is all very mixed up. Parts have a French idea and German baking traditions, or a German idea and French baking traditions. I like to mix it up a little.
There are soft French eclairs with tricolor icing in the French or German team colors. There are fruit tarts with foreign flags and crisp German breads with the Euro cup cooked into the crust. There are even French baguettes baked in the colors of the German flag, red, gold, and black. It reflects Gerbois' torn allegiance during the tournament.
From a soccer point of view, I think France will win. But then I'm not that certain because the German team is very motivated. But the French team has just now shown what is expected from them. I think after France scores the first goal, they will lock down their defense. But the game is open.
Whether France will meet with sweet victory in their first match will be decided on Tuesday when they face Germany in Munich. The game is taking place only a half hour away from Gerbois' Bakery. The tournament includes teams representing 24 European nations.
I hope France will win, but Belgium has become a very good team recently. England is a bit of an outsider. Portugal, I don't know really. Maybe not this year. Of course, I am hoping it's France. Germany is also a favorite, but I'm cheering for France.
The tournament continues until July 11th. It features 51 matches across 11 countries. They are taking place from as far as Seville, Spain, in Western Europe, all the way to Baku, Azerbaijan, the country that straddles the border between Eastern Europe and Western Asia.
Très bien. As the latest business updates for today, you can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
We have a new channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NTD News. Get the highlights of our news broadcast and the most important headlines that we curate especially for you.
Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.